Okay, in the immortal words of Zaepho, let's kick this pig, light the tires, and, well, kick the tires and light the fires. Okay. Welcome to Unprinted Pages, where we talk about authors and publishing and everybody's journeys to where they got. Let's introduce our guests. Hey, Zaepho, please tell us about you.
Hello, chat. I'm on a stream. That's what I'm supposed to do, right?
Yes.
I'm Kevin Colby, aka Zaepho. I am a managing partner at Cursed Dragon Ship Publishing. I do all of the little behind-the-scenes stuff, play with the streams, and generally make Kelly's life difficult. Yeah, that's pretty much what I do. I'm an IT guy by day, and all kinds of fun stuff.
Okay. Kelly Lynn Colby, please tell us about you.
Hello, I'm Kelly Lynn Colby. I am the editorial director at Cursed Dragon Ship Publishing, and I'm also a writer myself. I write YA fantasy and paranormal, not paranormal, well, could be paranormal, supernatural suspense. And yeah, that's about it. And we do podcasts too, because they're fun.
Oh, yeah. I have totally loved your podcasts.
Thank you.
What is the difference between working at Inkling Publishing or any other publishing company you've worked with and having your own?
The difference is I'm in charge now. Evil laugh. I need to work on it a little, I guess. It's not quite there.
Some people ignore the laugh. It's very important. It's
about standards. Sorry, we might quote a lot of pop culture things. It's, part of our existence. But yeah, so that's the biggest difference, quite frankly. The other biggest difference is I have to also pay for everything. So yes, that is a very, very different dynamic than when I worked for any other company. But every other company I worked for, Inklings Publishing and other ones that I volunteered for, that I learned so much. I could not do this company if I had not worked with them and learned and worked through that. And my, the master's in publishing that I earned, also doing all of that stuff in order to get here to actually be able to run my company.
That is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Zaepho? Is there a big learning curve to your normal tech job to here?
Yes, there definitely is. Some of the stuff applies. Some of the automation stuff, I've done a lot of scripting. I run, I manage the actual hosting of the website. I manage all of our email and all that. That's all directly stuff I've done professionally in the past. So that's easy. The stuff that's not quite as easy is the accounting and finance stuff. I knew just this. I knew enough of the words to be dangerous from my time working in a bank in IT. So I got to deal with a lot of those people, and I begun to understand what GL accounts were and how double entry accounting works and all that kind of stuff. But I am no accountant, no bookkeeper, none of that. But I play one on TV.
Well, on stream anyways.
On stream, whatever. It's fine.
It still counts as TV.
But I have absolutely. Streaming is TV now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we should be applying for the Screen Actors Guild, right?
Are we supposed to be on strike? We did something wrong. No, this is definitely not scripted. We're fine. It's
we're very unscripted.
Not scripted. Yeah.
Yeah, this is not a scripted thing. I just had a bunch of questions. I figured we could see how many we get through in about an hour and 20 hour and a half, if that, and then learn about each other.
Sounds great. Yep. Well, if you learned anything so far, it is that running a publishing company is also a business. So as you see, we're jumped right into the actual all those other things. You're like, I'm going to do this. This is going to be awesome. It's going to be so much fun. And I could just like play with writers all day and make stuff up. And, oh yeah, but the tax man still needs to talk to me. Oh yeah. And I still have to pay these authors. Oh wait. And I also need, So just, it's a lot of fun and it's great. And we'll always be so grateful we did this, but it's still a business. So remember that if this is something you decide you want to do. Yeah.
100%. It is still a business.
Yeah. There's
all of the attendant, pains and such that go with that.
Starting with registering the business, which was the first pain.
Oh yes.
And
you got to register the business. Yeah, you know, deciding the company formation and drawing up all the things and opening a bank account. Who knew you had to have a document saying that yes, we decided together as a business to open a bank account. You know, all of those sorts of things. It's wild, and we even chose the easy company type. We didn't go with a corporation. We went with an LLC, and corporation would have been so much more paperwork. But it's there's a million things you don't think of. You know, when we first started talking about this, we started talking about, okay, well, what would it cost us to produce, is the word that I use, produce a book. So the editing, the covers, the formatting, all of those attendant things. And we sat down and we kind of sketched that out, and we came up with a number. Oh, okay, cool. That's great. We could work with that. And we need to sell, we'll need to sell like maybe X number of books to kind of cover. Yeah, no, all of our assumptions were bad. And there's so much more. There's all of the other overhead, QuickBooks, the ISBNs, the
O365,
Duotrope, the Square,
Funnel,
sorts of things, Book Funnel, all of these things that layer on top of that. And this was supposed to pay for us to go to cons. I don't understand.
That's it. That's the whole reason we did this. We want to go to cons, and we want a legitimate reason to do it, not just because we want to. I think it would have been cheaper if we just traveled and just did it for fun.
I agree.
Yeah, in that aspect I could see, because you have multiple editors, and then of course the different cover artists, and then you have the authors themselves, and then whatever else people that I don't know, because I don't know who all you bring in to work on people's books and your books and the covers and the helping with the streaming. And then of course you have the fun things. Well, it looks like fun on the outside, but you still got to
then it's working.
Yeah, it looks like fun on this side, but I get the idea of how much work, because you also have the marketing. How hard how much harder is marketing than you expected?
I don't know if it's harder than I expected, because I knew there was a lot to it. But I did not see that as hard as we work on it, that it would have as little effect as it has had. So what I mean by that is, we are American. We are taught you work hard, it pays off, right? But if we've learned anything about running this business, that is not true. Because we work extremely hard, and we have a very difficult time finding the readers, which is why we're so grateful for people like you who come on and do these shows so that we can go out and talk to people and show them. Because like you said, we pay all these editors. We work really hard. We do developmental editing. A lot of small presses don't do that. So we take time to actually invest in our authors and work on the story and make it be the best story that it possibly can. So we do all of that stuff. We don't just proofread them, right? So we've got all of this work we put into it. We're very careful about the covers. We make sure they match the genre. We make sure they are what they need to be. And we go out there, we price them, very generously. And then we go out there and we were like, look, we have these awesome books. We know you'll love them. And so it's hard to actually find those people that will love these books. So so now, are we going to stop hardworking? No, because I'm very American and I can't help myself, and I will always overwork. But you do expect it to pay off, right? You expect and I don't mean we expect to make $1 million and get a house, but it'd be nice to have a few more people on staff than just Zaepho and I. And then we do have Sarah now too, right? So SG George is on as well as part of our staff, as our acquisitions editor. But the three of us trying to run the company, and it was the two of us for 4 years. It's quite challenging. It's quite challenging.
It's amazing that it's been 4 years, because it went from me randomly finding you on Twitter, then, oh my God, she's an anime Matsuri and I can meet her. And I'm like, but it just arrived at my house. She's in front of me. How does this work?
Right.
It's magic.
Yeah, it's one of those magic things. I'm just like, oh, that looks like a good book to read with Cassie, to wow. And then now you went from being a part of Inkling Publishing and introducing me to the other books there. And now you're running your own publishing company. So yeah, it's the road is odd. What I mean, well, I know it's odd for me because of how many people I've met, but also you guys have so many authors you've met, so many people you've decided, yes, those are great stories. Let's bring them on to how about you work on it a little bit and come back? Because that's also a thing. What about your picking process? You get so many submissions, and how do you know you've chosen the right books to bring up?
Full disclosure, right now we are closed for submissions because we are very full. But when we open back up, and we will, and when we were open before, what we do is we ask for the first 3 chapters of the book, and we ask for a full synopsis, which is where in about a page, sometimes 2 pages, this is fantasy and sci-fi, so there's little world building. Sometimes it'll take longer. Single space, where you tell us everything that happens in your book. So that's one thing people get confused with the synopsis, right? Where they think it's a thing you read in the back of the book, so no spoilers.
It's not the back cover, yeah.
Right, it's not back cover copy. This is a full synopsis. You have to remember, we're professionals. You're not spoiling anything for us. We need to make sure that it has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and there's some kind of arc going on in that story. Now, every company looks for something different, but that's what we look for. So we need to make sure it's got a beginning, a middle, and an end, and there is an arc involved so that characters grow. There's something else going on there. And then the first 3 chapters is because we find that a lot of authors don't know where their book starts. So we get a lot of people, if you just, read the beginning of that first chapter, it's a pretty quick rejection. Where we are a small company, we want to work with authors, and we want to work with authors that, want to improve and want to write the best book they can. And so we give them a chance. So we will read more into it to see where that book actually is supposed to start. So we don't reject people immediately. And then the next thing that we'll do is, and again, Sarah has taken over for this. Thank you, Sarah. Is that, well, if we decide that it's going to be a good fit for us, then we will ask for the full book. And then she goes through the full book and she decides, she makes comments. Basically, she does like a quick, like surface level developmental edit. And so she goes through and just looks real quick, make sure the same thing we were looking for the synopsis actually comes through in the book. And that, the one thing, like, we can teach people how to write. We can teach people how to fix their grammar. We can teach people how to do things like that. We can teach people about pacing and arc. But what we cannot teach people is voice. You have to find your voice. And so you find that by writing and reading and writing and reading and writing and reading. And so usually we find someone with really cool voice. That's something unique. And you can see that it's them. They have actually written enough that they know what their voice is. Those are usually people that we try to bring on. And then what we will normally do, because we are so small, is we will do an R&R. So in the industry, an R&R is a revise and resubmit. And what this is this, writers out here, ready for the secret? This is your job interview.
Yep.
So if we send an R&R, we're like, we see potential in that story, and we know that we can sell that story. What we now need to know is whether we can work together or not. So we send an R&R. So if you want to go through and make revisions to that, if you are willing to hear what we said, notice I didn't say obey the changes we demanded, right? But if you're willing to listen to what we said about the story and the things we think that could be stronger or maybe don't belong, and you go through and look at it and you're like, you know what? I agree, because you also, as the writer, are interviewing us to see if you want to work with us. So this is the job interview in our world. And then so some people we never hear back from, and then we're like, well, then we know, right? We're just not a good fit. Some people send it back and they change like nothing. And we're like, okay, so we're not a good fit. because if you're not going to actually do any kind of major changes, then this isn't going to work, right? And then the vast majority of them, which is pretty impressive, send it back with good changes in it. You know, they actually thought about what, and again, I didn't say obey. There are plenty of things they might not change, right? But they do find problems. They do go through it. Look, Birdie's on. Hi, Birdie. We were just talking about you.
Hi, Birdie.
And doing all of the changes and stuff that go into that thing. And then we decide we can work with them. We give you a sample contract. We talk about it. We have another meeting. And then we decide whether we're going to work together or not. So we are so small that it's not this is your contract. It's 27 pages long and you must obey everything we say. We are partnering with writers. So no, we would not say bad things about you, Birdie. I mean, I don't even know any bad things about you.
Oh, so. That's you saying hi, Birdie.
Zaepho said hi, Birdie. Hey, Brill Pro's on too.
Hi, Tom.
So yeah, so that's basically the process for submissions. And again, we are not open right now, but we will open up again. We need to make sure we get through the authors because anyone we're taking on now, we're not even publishing till 2025. So we want to make sure we go through what we have already. We don't want to take someone on and say, okay, but you're going to be published in 2026. You know what I mean? So we're frozen right now until we get through this lump of authors we've taken on. And then we will open back up.
Yeah, because this Misplaced Mercenaries world is amazing. Because I loved all of Kevin's books. I love Jessica's books. I look forward to seeing the others.
Good. We're so excited. Well, the cover reveal for Kevin Petway's in this series, his new series for this one, that's Sunday. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Do you mind if I put the graphic for that?
No, you sure can. Please share it wide. Share it everywhere.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So,
another question. Mm-hmm. What is the difference between like starting to build your own universe? Like going further with the Misplaced Mercenaries compared to everybody's single universes. What,
Zaepho, you want to take that one?
Yeah.
Sure. So from a business perspective, it was a lot different, right? So from a publishing company perspective, it was, how do we, what do we need to do on the contracts to be able to even do this, right? How do we structure this to make sure that everyone is fairly compensated for their work, and who owns the copyrights, right? All that sort of all these things that as a reader I never would have thought of, right? I was reading the Dragonlance books, and there's tons of different authors across the larger Dragonlance stuff, and I never even considered who owns the copyright to that book. Didn't matter to me, right? It's a good book, I'm reading. Things, we have a new type of editor. We have a continuity editor. We have a Bible for the universe. It's like this huge document that has all of the things about the universe and continues to build and change as it goes through, right? As things happen, as these books are written, that is adding to the history of the world, which is really, really neat. But it's a lot to keep track of.
And that's Shannon Winton, and she's amazing. Highly recommend her.
Yes. Yeah. It very, very interesting. All of that, those pieces and parts, and making that happen, scheduling it out, and figuring out who's going to go when, and all the bits and pieces to make that happen. It's been a really cool process. It's been a really long process. I mean, it's been 2 years.
Something like that. Like we were planning it 7 months before we told anyone anything, because we had to get the authors on board. We had to work out. I bought an entire copyright book. I'm like, I need time. I guess this is my reading. How fun. Just trying to figure out exactly how to do all that stuff. So we had to work it all out. And some people think I just dive into things, but not people who actually watch me. I don't. I research. So I had to really make sure that I had to make sure I was being fair to the IP holder, right? The intellectual property holder, which is Kevin Petway. So I had to make sure I was fair to him. I had to make sure that I was fair to the writers. I had to make sure I was fair to our company. So there was just so much going on. Birdie says, you mean I can't randomly conjure up an ancient dragon to fill my plot point? No, sorry. You can't, unless it's a really cool dragon and there's sexy time. Because apparently if there are those two things, you can do whatever you want.
Apparently.
Yeah, apparently that makes everything legal.
Mhm.
Just so you know, in case you're wondering.
Because for lack of a better reference, you guys are making your own Star Wars world, or like Star Trek world, where you just keep building.
Right, except they're making their own characters.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, the Dragonlance and the Forgotten Realms and all of those are better because they actually pulled different characters, right? So it's not just always Kirk and always, Uhura. They are making their own characters, but placing it in the same world. It's exactly right. More like Marvel, right? With Marvel, every bit of it is in the same universe, but they're all different characters, and they all have a different tone. Like a Thor movie is extremely different than a Captain America movie, which is extremely different than an Iron Man movie, right? Yes. That's what these series are too. So they're all in the same world, but each one has a different tone because each author has a different voice, as we talked about earlier.
A new, beautiful fandom to follow. And I am definitely looking forward to continue to jump into it. Yay. Because Kevin is awesome. Jessica's awesome. I can't wait to read the rest of the authors. Because I haven't seen the Jolly Chicken book yet to see who
I have it in an envelope, so it will be coming to you. I put some trading cards in there for you too.
Yay! I can't wait.
So
it's going to be so beautiful.
That's right. It's a lot of fun.
Because I know it looks beautiful on screen, but in person, all the books look more beautiful in person.
Well, for sure. Because then it's wish fulfilled at that point, right? You're holding
on
to it.
Because, okay, for those who don't know, her Tarbin series, my daughter has loved it so much for a good 2 years. She slept in the bed. It was right in under her pillow. That's where she kept her Tarbin book. So this is how good of an author Kelly is for her age range. So yeah, I definitely recommend going through and checking out Kelly's books as well. So, oh yeah, and more towards the author thing. There is a very big difference of mindset you had to go in to write Tarbin compared to, and her name just left my
Fauna.
brain. Yes.
Yeah.
So, the mindset of the two books. How did you go from the two worlds? What made you want to write in? Why is my brain not working with the word of being able to touch something and being able to see the feelings and watch it play?
Empath.
Yeah, and it's not just empathic. There is a kinetic word that goes along with it. But yeah.
I don't know. You'll have to teach me.
Yes, hold on. I'm going to relook it up because I had like a whole bunch of questions I've rehearsed in my head. And
well, while you're looking up the actual word, I'm going to answer your question. So Tarbin, that was the plan. The Tarbin series, right? It's a duology. It's Tarbin's True Heir and Tarbin's False Prophet. That one was really my roots. Like we've already talked about Dragonlance. We've already talked about Forgotten Realms. Like Zaepho gave me the biggest compliment ever because we are married, right? So he does not read my books until they're done. Because I'm really good at taking criticism. I am not good at taking criticism from my partner. And he knows that. And we want to stay married. So he waits till they're done. And he gave me the biggest compliment ever because when he read it, he was like, I mean, this is just as good as Dragonlance. And that was like all I needed to hear. Because it was kind of me giving homage to this thing that I grew up with, that I loved. We'll have to go back to that comment.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. I'm gonna start.
Anyways, so you have that kind, right? So you have and that one, so it's very it's a YA fantasy. It's appropriate for YA in the old sense. It is not spicy at all. Quite frankly, I forgot about the romance. It didn't even pop up until book 2, and then it surprised me. It was not my outline. And so there was just like a touch of it. But that story, it's a venture across the world. It's found family. It's that kind of stuff. It's very safe. If you just want, like, the cozy fantasy is very popular. It's a very cozy fantasy. Now stuff does happen in it. Of course, it is a fantasy, but it's not, you're not going to have nightmares. Right now, the other series is that one's an adult series, right? So that one starts, it's called The Emergence. The first one's The Collector, second one's The Healer, and the third one that comes out next month is called The Twins.
Next month?
Yes, it's almost here. That's why I'm doing the last edits on it right now. That's why her name came right up for me. And that one, quite frankly, with writing the YA fantasy, and I'm actually working on another YA fantasy series, it is a lot of work for world building. It is a lot of building your world and building your religions and building the continent and making a map and there is so much that goes into it. With this series, I wanted it to be in a location that already exists, that I'm very familiar with.
Urban fantasy.
Houston,
and the
Texas.
word psychometry.
What is it?
Urban fantasy, and the word that she does, she uses psychometry.
I've never heard of psychometry.
Psychometry.
Yeah, you described it perfectly, but you've never heard of the word?
Never.
Okay, the word that she's using, she uses psychometry and her empathic abilities to see what happened, to feel the emotions they felt, to see the scene. That is, it is a term used in the supernatural world, the paranormal world as well. So yeah,
that's very cool. Well, I guess she does that because she's an empath, and most of us know what that means, right? She can sense emotions on people, but she can also, so this new word, which I'm going to have to see it written or I will never remember it. For the new word, what she also does is she can sense memories left on objects. And so for this one, I really it is first person. It's only her perspective. There's not multiple perspectives. And so it was, quite frankly, easier to write in one way, as in that's all I had to worry about. I didn't have to do the world building. I didn't have to do that, but it was harder to write in the way that it is a mystery, which I had never written before. So you have to drop bodies at the right time. You have to have the right clues at the right time. You need, false clues. You need, so all of that. So it was a lot harder structurally to get it to work. And it is significantly more emotional, just for there's murder going on and she is not very stable, which quite frankly, if we grew up as an empath, I don't know how many of us would actually be that stable, right? And so if you never know anything you're going to touch, you could drop into a horrible memory. You're not going to touch a whole lot of things, right? So
the gloves.
Yeah, that's why she wore her gloves. That's why she's got all those things. So it's very, I mean, and she feels very personal to me, and which is how her voice comes out. So it was a very different challenge, but I didn't have to make up a religion. I didn't have to make up a world. I didn't have to make up a magic system. I didn't have to make any of that up. So that part was nice.
Dropped her in Houston, Texas, and then everything around that.
And then go. I mean, so much so there's always a scene of Houston, Texas on the cover, because there's usually something I feature. Houston, Texas is always on the cover.
On book 2, The Place I Met You is
George R. Brown.
GRB.
That's right.
Yep. And the restaurant, the Rustic, is right next to GRB, and we've been there multiple times.
We loved it,
and that's why it went into the book. So my favorite story about that book and her not doing any work to build the world. I mean, she's no effort on world building at all. No, she spent 8 weeks in the HPD Citizens Academy to learn how the police do stuff, so she could get the police procedural stuff correct.
That is amazing.
Okay, so, I do some research. I can't help myself.
Yes.
But that's great research. That's amazing. And then anybody of the force can read the book and see and know you put effort in trying to get it right.
I did.
Yep.
I really did.
That is a great rep thing.
Yeah, except they would not let us take a tour of 1200 Travis, which is where the detectives are. It's where they interview people. So all of that stuff in the book is all made up, because they wouldn't let us tour that. That part I made up, but otherwise it's pretty accurate for the way things work. And it's simple things. I did not realize that when if a detective goes to a scene and things are happening, if they end up arresting someone, they don't haul them away. A uniform officer in the patrol car hauls them away. I was like, I didn't know that, so it's those kind of things that you learn when you go through this stuff that makes it more real when you're actually writing it. So
real life compared to TV.
But if you're asking, how do I write the two different things? I read everything.
Yes.
I read everything. So it's just anything I can get my hands on. There is no genre I don't read. That's not true. But I don't not read. I just don't prefer it. And that's memoirs. I don't prefer memoirs. But I will read them every now and again. But otherwise, I just read everything. So to me, even though I know it's a genre switch, it's not that difficult.
I think the only memoirs I would ever actually suggest is Caitlin Doherty, and then you can get a better idea from her memoirs how the funeral industry works from being a funeral director. And then she also has a book out where she answered nothing but kid questions.
Aww.
Will my cat eat my eyeballs when I die? Yeah, so yeah, she is.
I hope she said yes.
Those I would suggest because it was a definite yes, but
Good.
It's one of those I would suggest because you'll learn more about if you want to do more, add more about the funeral industry in there. Start with her, and then you can find all types from there. But yeah, I can understand why you don't like your go-to is not memoirs, but the fact that you're willing to try to read anything is amazing.
Yep, that's part of the gig, right? And that's also part of being an editor because I also do freelance editing.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really difficult to be a good editor if you haven't read what is being published, and not just what was published 60 years ago, what's being published right now.
Yeah, there's a humongous difference between like science fiction from my dad's teenage years to science fiction now.
Yep.
Because you have Heinlein, and then you have like
Heinlein, Asimov.
You have Greg Greg D. Little and his new book. So yeah, you have those differences.
That one's gonna be so fun. It's gonna be so fun.
I so want to beta that. It's not funny.
Oh, but you'll be on the list. Don't worry.
But until then, my other question was, okay, do you have any favorite things about world building that for you is a constant go-to when you're trying to come up with the like the religion or the setting or any parts of it?
Well, usually I come up with if I'm doing fantasy, the first thing I usually come up with is their creation story. So I want to know what their creation story was.
Yeah.
And based on that creation story, I can see where the conflict comes in. Like, so if you go back and you look at, the Greek god creation stories, if you look at the Egyptian creation stories, if you look at our creation stories, when you look at all of that stuff, it tells you a lot about the people who believe in them. So I usually do that first and decide how I want that to work. And then what I do is usually I already have some kind of characters in mind, some kind of journey I want them to do. Like my next series, I just really wanted a girl who gets a dragon and gets to ride it. Like that was the first thing I thought, right? Because don't we all? And so that's where it started. And then there's the beautiful romance came in. I'm like, all right, what do these people believe and what's going to tear them apart? And then so I started with the gods. That's my thing. And quite frankly, Zaepho doesn't write, but he reads even more than I do. Well, if you don't include the professional reading part, right? Like for fun. And there's been quite a few things now that he works for a publishing company that he will read something and he'll be mad because now he's annoyed by it when he never was before. So I don't know if he has any favorite parts of world building or any world building stuff that's annoyed him lately.
I don't know about the world building so much. It's some of the other stuff that has really started to bug me. There is I am less tolerant of things that don't start, that take forever to start. I remember back, high school, I'm reading Clancy. You have to give Clancy 200, 250 pages for the story to start.
Before he gets started, yeah.
Before it really gets interesting. He's got 250 pages of everything leading up to, and I am much less tolerant of that at this point. There's a lot more of you see stuff that's lazy. You're like, oh, come on, really? This ancient dragon randomly spawned right here, right when it was needed.
Like Birdie says.
How about no? Stuff like that. It's that's the kind of stuff that drives me nuts. Oh, also, what drives me nuts about all of this is watching TV with Kelly. Because she's already guessed it way too early, and I'm like, shut up.
Well,
Let me enjoy the show.
When you tell stories for a living, when you edit stories for a living, you kind of start to put the pieces together real quick, right? Like you know the secrets, right? You know how the candy's made, so it kind of
yeah.
It's a lot like music in that way. You can hear where a piece of music is going.
Yes.
Where the bridge is, where the key change will come in, where you kind of feel it,
right? You can feel where that's gonna happen. It's the same thing with story, apparently, and it's just really frustrating sometimes.
Oh yeah, it's like you read like 2 books in the series, and you get to the final third finale, and you're like, oh my god, I know where this is going. This is why. How did this become so boring? And I've loved it up until now, and then it's like.
So I comment. So I just read. In fact, the last book I finished was The Healer. And I am gonna leave a scathing review for this author because book 3 isn't out yet. Anyway,
no, that's not my problem with it. Not at all. But it's like, dude, yeah, I get the idea.
So I knew things because I helped Kelly talk through some of the things that happen in book 2.
He's my rubber duck.
Quack quack. Absolutely.
I call mine a guinea pig.
Oh,
there you go. So she talked through. So I am reading all of book 2, waiting for this thing to come up. And when it finally, I get through the book and I'm like, you know what? I knew what was coming, but I'm super impressed because I totally did not see it coming the way it happened, which was really awesome. So
yeah, but you guys are really good at that. Like, as a collective, it's like you, and then you have like Greg, and it's like, wait, what? It's real. They're not where they think they are. For real. You're gonna have to go see read the Last Humans series to find out what I'm talking about. I'm on re-listening to book 2, so you're gonna have to get to there. So yeah, but yeah,
wait till you see book 3. Holy moly! Holy moly!
I'm definitely addicted to his and Dave's writing as well. I want you guys to take something on of Dave's at some point too. But whenever that happens,
we want you too. We'll see. Yeah, we're waiting for the right project.
Oh yeah, but anyway, the fact that you can do that is like, wow. How did why? How? Oh my god! Yeah, that sort of feeling when you're reading. I don't know if that you get the portrayal of each point. Why? How?
But here's the thing. This is part of the lesson as a writer. So if you want the lesson for this, the lesson is Greg and I have the same effect, right? However, for mine, I very carefully plan it. Very carefully. And as I'm writing it, if things change, I have to go back and make sure everything works. Greg just naturally makes this stuff up as he goes along. And it's just like, you did what? And every time I'm like, wait, there's no way you're going to be able to do it again. And I'm like, oh my God, you did it again.
Like, he's the only man that has ever been able to make me fall in love with a spider. And I have nightmares about the ones that camouflage.
Revenants.
Yeah, I have nightmares about those turning the color of my pillowcase. And it doesn't matter which pillowcase, it will become that color, and I will wake up with this on my face. Because I've actually woke up with a spider on my face like 3 times in my lifetime. But that's beside the point. But anyway, and from doing that yourself to watching your writers do that, and how much as a fellow author and an editor, knowing that you are a careful planner, you've thought it all out, and then you go to write it, and then you get people like Greg who writes different pieces of different areas, and then he goes in a circle and a circle and a circle, and then he brings it all back together, and then it's like this well thought out, oh my God, that's a twist story.
Yeah. No, but Greg's way would stress me out, just like my way would stress him out. Right. So that the whole point is you have to write whatever way is true to you.
No, I mean, like, seeing the question is being able to see this happen in front of you and have your friend show you so many different ways to write a world, so many different ways to make it work. Has your thoughts on writing changed over your life as you learn more from those authors you work with?
I think my only real thoughts that have changed are that there is no wrong way to do it except to not do it. Right? Every single person has a different way. And even though I'm a careful plotter, I am not just, I have very careful outlines, but as I start to write it, some things fall apart. So you still are creating even if you have a very careful outline. And even though, like Greg sits down and just writes the darn thing, he still knows where it's going to end. You know what I mean? Yeah, so he still kind of he still has some ideas of what's going on. So it's not like he has nothing planned, right? So it's nothing is black and white. There's still, so if I've learned anything, I've learned that it is not black and white. That's probably the biggest thing, which we probably all learn whatever it is we're learning as we get older.
There's no right way, but the only wrong way is to not write.
Is to not write. Right. That is the only 100%. Wrong way.
And that's what I was going to say is what I have seen and I hear from all of the authors that the takeaway that I've gotten around that isn't so much, it can be learning different ways to do things, but so much of it is just honing the craft. That practice, you get better at these things and you see those things getting edited and having somebody come and sit down and say, this is a problem, and then you have to go fix it. You start to see those things a little bit more. At least that's my interpretation.
Oh yeah,
for sure. The more I work with an author, the less editing they need.
Yeah. It's like with Birdie's question.
She's been looking at Delaney's story.
Not just those the sexy times, but it's one of those, like, if they get in a fight or whatever, how are they not more broken than they seem they would be? Not seeing like not seeing them being injured like they should be in like various fights, like being hit with a baseball bat, but there's like no bruise or whatever. They barely flinch, or with him being so much bigger and not breaking the smaller person in that aspect. I don't know how small Delaney's character is, but I see so many stories where the girl is tiny and the guy is like 8 foot tall.
Well, it depends. I mean, are we talking with Buffy? She's got superpowers, so she can take this stuff, right? So it just that's world building, man. And if it doesn't work for you, if it's not realistic to you, that they didn't do their job, right? So either the writer, the editor, or someone dropped the ball. And I have theater background, so blocking is very important to me. So like when we do a fight, I actually see things in my head when I'm reading them. Everyone doesn't, I know. So, it's every spectrum exists. But because I do see it in my head when I'm reading it, when I'm editing it, it's even more careful, right? Because now instead of just flowing with it like I would if I'm just reading it, when I'm editing it, it's like freeze frame, freeze frame, freeze frame, freeze frame. What was that character's name again? Was that spelled the same? I better go look at it, right? So blocking becomes very important in the story. So if you're talking about a fight, you have to remember how many hands they had. Did they still hold the weapon? Did they drop the weapon? Who's over there? How many people were in this fight again? So you've got to remember where everybody, how did they get on the table? Weren't they just thrown behind the couch? What's happening here? So you have to actually very carefully think about where everyone is and be able to see it. So even if people who are reading it who can't see it, they will know when something's wrong. Just like you obviously intuitively knew in whatever scene you were reading that it wasn't right. You're like, this isn't working for me. Because our number one job as writers is to make sure the reader keeps reading. And anything that throws you out of the story, which is what happened to you when you're thinking, wait, she should be more hurt. Well, now you're not thinking about what's happening in the story anymore, are you? Now you're thinking about whether you believe it or not. So that author has thrown you out of the story. And now whether you get back in it or not, who knows? So
they have
it-
violated your suspension of disbelief too far.
Yep.
the submersion into the world.
And no matter what anybody says, your number one job as a writer is to keep the reader reading. Period. So you have to do that. Otherwise, there's no point, unless you just want to write it for yourself, and then that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're looking for readers, if you want to share your stories, you want people to love this stuff, then you have to keep them reading it.
That goes back to the publishing as a business.
Yes.
Also true.
If people don't continue to read, well, there's a problem.
They're not going to keep buying books.
Yeah, you made me think of the action movie, Cardinal Sin, Infinite Ammo.
Oh yeah. Unless it's the A-Team, it's okay.
Right.
He's trying to fly a tank. Yeah.
That's Murdoch. He can fly anything.
Yes. Murdoch can do anything. It's like one of those shows that no matter what time you're watching it, you're sucked in. And even though it probably doesn't really work in the real world that way, it's still submersive.
Yeah, but you know what they got right? There's like almost nothing believable about that show. But what they got right and why people loved it and why I still love it is because the characters were so compelling. You had to know what they were doing. You just adored them and all their shenanigans, and it was fun. So that's why. If you can get those characters right, people will hang on for quite some time.
Oh yeah. All the weird ways they make the plan come together. It's
right.
one of those, it's like 36 years later, and I'm like, yes, let's rewatch that episode.
Yep. I actually bought the first season and watched it again. I couldn't help myself. You can't stream it anywhere. It is nowhere. It doesn't exist. I had to buy it.
It's no longer on Prime?
Yeah, it is, but you have to buy it. It's not free.
Sucks.
Yep.
That saddens me now. But anyway, is it easier to be a writer publisher than any other jobs you've worked? Or do you have days where you'd rather go back to that job than continue editing the pages you're on?
Well, Zaepho's never left his job. So Zaepho, what?
Yeah, I have really no idea where Zaepho works. I just know he's good enough to have been published in places because of what he does.
Yes.
Not that I'm saying tell us, but yeah,
it's all good. Yeah, I am tangential to the authoring and the publishing, so I really can't say a whole lot about it. I mean, yes, there are times when I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. Usually around royalties.
Yeah, that's usually
yeah. I don't think we done a royalty cycle that did not have any screaming. I don't think we have.
I don't think we screamed this one. I think we did a lot of silent stares at each other. Like, why are you doing this to me? To each other.
Fair enough. It was a little more passive aggressive this time.
Yeah. We learned our lesson.
But yeah. No. Royalties suck.
I can understand because it's like Patty is like so apologetic. She's like, I know they're supposed to come out at this point, but Amazon is being stupid. And I'm like, okay, whenever it happens. But I get the idea that her attitude is because somebody else has been a jerk. I have met a couple of jerks recently in the publishing area, and I'm like, how is that her fault if that company is doing it and you see all the emails of her trying to fix it and you're still screaming at her? This is it's one of those where it doesn't make sense.
Man, you know what? We're all doing the best we can. And we are so tiny. We are at the I don't know, we're under the thumb of all of the larger companies. So all we can do is what we can do. So and that's what we do.
Well, and we made a conscious decision to do a cash-based business, which means just because Amazon said they sold something doesn't mean we record it as income. Doesn't It doesn't become income, and it doesn't become something we will pay royalties on until the check lands.
Yeah.
That's the point when that's the point when we count the sales that are not, us selling books at a convention. So we do it all based on when we have, right,
that's how
when
everyone
we get
does
the
it.
money.
Yeah.
And you have to. You really have to. Especially
because Amazon might say they sold 7 books, and then we get the report and it says 4. We're like, well, it said 7, so we don't even bother with what it says online. We have to wait till we get that report, and that's all we do. So whether it was returns, whether something was weird, whether payment didn't go through, we don't know, right? So we have to wait till we actually get that payment, and then you have to take that check and you have to make sure everything is matched. It's annoying. But
exchange rates, hate exchange rates.
Here's the secret. So the secret is Zaepho's job pays for our bills.
Yes.
So any job that I had before was before we had kids and when we first had kids, right? Then I was working. I was working full time, and then I was working part-time from home when we had kids. And then after that, my job was all volunteering. Like, I didn't have another paying job. Technically, I still don't have a paying job. Anyways, so I did not have a paying job.
You went to be a teacher.
Well, that's true. I did teacher for a little while. It didn't feel like a paying job, for the record. Not for the hours I put in. No, I'm not going back to
No, they don't give teachers what they deserve.
No. So so I volunteered. So I am used to running projects. I'm used to dealing with a lot of people with different skills and putting them where they belong. So that came in very handy when it came to running a business. So do I ever think that I need to quit doing this and get a job? No. Do I ever think I need to get a job to keep doing this? Yes. Do you see the difference?
Yes.
I could work at McDonald's and use that to pay for the covers and the,
Look, I've been thinking about it. I'm just going to go work at Target. We could use the discount too, or the grocery store. We could definitely use the discount. But here's the problem. You can't work those jobs and get weekends off. And we're always traveling on the weekend, right? We'll travel to this convention. We'll go to this convention. We're doing a writer's retreat, which I'd love to talk about. So we've got this stuff going on. So we have all of these things going on. And so it's, when you work any kind of retail job, which is, I'm looking at I don't want to go, I mean, I have a degree, I have a master's degree. I could get, a more full-time job kind of thing.
Traditional.
But I have enough responsibility with the publishing company. I need a job where they just write me a check for, minimum wage, and I can come home and, I can buy a cover. I need that kind of stuff. But any more responsibility and I'll crumble. I can't handle any more responsibility. I'm at my limit.
I totally understand that. That's probably why you have discontinued for the moment, or for at least a while, the Dungeon and Dragons and the game show and the interview show.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, we put all of that. Well, D&D is not happening. That was way too much planning for me, and I didn't have time. And then the 20 questions it's just run its thing. We've done it for 3 years now. So it's kind of run its course. We are working on another show. We don't know what it's going to be quite yet. We have like 6 ideas. But like I said, I don't dive into things. So I need to research. I need to look at it. I need to figure it out. So we've got about 6 ideas, and we'll decide what we're doing. But we love the interaction with the fans, right? We love being able to talk to them. We like to see what they like. We don't want to stop doing it altogether because we love that. So plus I have to have something I have to yell at Zaepho about. So
sigh.
But that's also one of the great things about marriage. You guys we as well will have times where we disagree, and it's hard to come to a meeting of the middle or a compromise sometimes, compared to, okay, this needs to get this needs to get done, and this needs to get done. Which part can you do and which part can I do, where we can meet in the middle? It's always a give and take thing. And you guys seem to have an amazing relationship.
We've got a fold, Zaepho. We did it.
Well, you haven't killed each other, and I don't see any bruises. So,
see, the problem is we have very short memories. So you can last in a marriage a really long time if you have a short memory. So
Yeah.
that everyone's secret to good marriage is don't go to bed angry or don't. I'm like, are you human? But here's the thing. But we don't, like he says, we don't hold grudges, right? That's the secret. So secret is I could be so mad at him, and 3 hours later I'm like, dude, what's for dinner? Like, do you see?
Right.
And vice versa. So
and we'll go out and eat dinner, and we'll have a good time and chat, and it's fine. And then we come back, and it's okay, and we can come back, and we may argue about the same thing again. In fact, we probably will. But I feel like sometimes we kind of advance the argument a little bit with those breaks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and sooner or later you come to a idea of how to fix the situation, or at least make it less horrible. Yep. In theory.
Yep. In theory.
I mean, it's been 25 years, almost 26 now. It's almost 26.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I keep forgetting that I'm younger than you are.
Our marriage can get a discount on its insurance.
Yes.
Yes. It's old enough now. We totally need that discount too. We need to start applying.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Life's expensive. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is.
Not really kidding about the grocery store discount. We could totally use it.
Yeah, we could too. That would be amazing.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yay. Okay. So we've covered a lot of things. What made you want to write?
I hate writing. I don't write. I avoid it. I really do. Even really the work stuff.
You should see when he has to do documentation for work. He avoids it like as much as he possibly can. It's hilarious. Oddly enough, I also don't like to write. I do not like to, but I like having the finished book. I like problem solving as I'm creating it. I like seeing how far it comes when I do it. But the actual sitting down and turning that blank white screen into little black symbols, I hate that part. It is so hard for me to concentrate and make it happen. Like it's torture almost. And somehow I just do it. But why did I want to tell stories? Multiple reasons. One of them was because I could still do that and stay home with my kids. Quite frankly, that's always been a priority for me. The kids have always been a priority. I've sacrificed a lot for them. They turned out pretty good. So let's hope it's paid off. We'll find out. And then the other thing was that it gave me freedom to travel, because Zaepho and I, we do a lot of volunteering work. We like to travel. We like to do all these things. And his job at the time, and still is now, was flexible enough. He had vacation days. He had things where we could go do that. His job now even gives him 2 days a year for volunteering. It's a really great job. And so I had to have, my job needed to be just as flexible. Otherwise we couldn't live the lifestyle we wanted to with all the traveling and stuff. So I had to make sure to have that. Well, I can do that with writing. I can do it anywhere. Also, my kids like to call me a workaholic. Notice I just said I hadn't had a job, but I volunteer a lot. I'm not a workaholic, but what I am is I bore easily. So I always have to be doing something. And so with writing, there is always something I can be doing. I'm creating a new thing. I'm researching this. I'm writing this new one. I'm revising this old story. So there is always something to keep me entertained. And quite frankly, we've been doing this business for 4 years. I worked for Inklings 2 years before that. And so this is the longest time, besides volunteering at Girl Scouts, that I have done the same thing in our entire marriage. So I need something to keep me entertained, to have enough dimensions to keep going. And that's why writing worked for me. So am I one of those where people are like, I'm compelled to write? I have to write. I have no choice. The stories are in my head. I have to write them down. I'm not one of those. This just fit me in all these other ways. So that's why I did it.
Do you have to outline for your technical reports, Zaepho?
Outline? No. But there's usually some templates that are already built for things that I have to fill out. There's always going to be an executive summary. There's always going to be system requirements. There's always going to be an architectural design. There's always going to be, well, we don't do as-builts. But there's all these things that have to go into it. And then when you start getting into writing statements of work and doing all those things, there's there are formats to it. It's very formulaic. It's I think the worst one that I did was it was a 350-page design doc.
Again, he didn't write every single word. It was a template, but he still had to
a
go
lot of that was
through the
templates.
whole
Yes.
thing. Yeah,
Right.
So
7 pages of it was a table of subnets. It doesn't matter what those are, but it's just this table of data. 7 pages.
Tables and
yeah.
So yours is more of template written than
very template driven. Very template driven. Yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, what I have to do a lot is now the design work that I do. I have to do a lot of I do automation.
Yeah.
So I have to look at a process and I have to look at it at a very high level. What are we doing? Just really, really generically, what are the major components of that and break that down? And then the next thing is now let me break those down into smaller components so we know how we can make this work. And then finally, there's the level of actually writing the automation. So just like outlining a book, you've got your basic concepts.
So that sounds like my process for my book. Yeah.
Yeah. Characters and story arcs and all that kind of stuff. And then the next level is where you're, scene by scene, where you're kind of going, okay, these things are going to happen. These plot points are going to happen. And then that last one is actually turning the white page into lots of symbols. So it's very similar process.
Mm-hmm.
Except there's dragons in mine. They're way more fun.
There are no dragons in mine.
The fact that you had psychometry, that made me so happy. I'm like, yay! The fact that you didn't even use the word at all throughout it. Now I know why. You didn't know there was a word.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. By the way, I did research because I went to research powers because I also didn't want to create a magic system, right? So I researched things that people believe humans could have, right? Like this isn't X-Men powers, right? These are powers that people talk about existing, right? Like being able to read people's emotions, right? Being able to, and I mean literally, I know some of us can sense them anyways. I don't mean that. I mean like literally, right? Diving into the memory, doing healing, right? Healing powers. That's what the book 2 is. That's why it's the healer. In this third one, we have Firestarter. So third one, we're talking about Firestarter. Yeah. So I looked at those kind of things, and yet looking at all those things, I didn't see that word. So I think that's pretty funny.
Okay. Yeah. Well, now I have that question answered. Yay. Is there anything that you want us as readers to understand? What is like the main points you want us as readers from like an author point of view and a publisher point of view to understand that are like we don't normally get?
That's a tough one.
I don't know because
from a publisher. Go ahead.
Well, because I'm so entwined in this now, I'm not sure what readers don't get anymore. Even though I am still a hardcore reader, it's still I'm in the industry, right? So I don't know what the outside perspective is at this point. Now, mind you, I watch a lot of BookTube, so I get a lot of the readers and a lot of people reviewing and all that kind of stuff. I think the thing to understand is that every publishing company has kind of a different feel. And for ours, we are writing stuff for you to escape the mundane. There's a reason why that's our tagline. We are not we are not publishing things, at least, that's not our goal, to completely change the way you see your world, right? We are writing things so you can escape. We're not writing, we're not publishing long philosophical discords about what life means, right?
Right.
That doesn't mean you won't get a little bit of that by reading the book. That is what you get by reading books, right? But that's not what we're tackling. We want you to have a really good time. We have shorter books. They are quicker paced. That is pretty much universal across all of them. No matter who's writing or what their feel is or what they're doing, you can get that across all. We tend to have a little more humor in our books. Probably, again, we're choosing our books, and I like the humor because life is too dark. So there's definitely a lot of humor involved, even when they're doing tough subjects. There's still humor involved because we all use humor, especially when things are tough, right? Because that's how we get through it. So when you read this serious book that takes itself too seriously, maybe that's it. As a publisher, we don't really take ourselves that seriously.
We have very professional podcasts.
We have very professional podcasts. That's true. But otherwise, we completely do not take ourselves that seriously. we're not trying to be, Hemingway. Who would want to,
Right.
anyways, that's a whole other story. That's not even our goal, right? We want to have fun when we want to escape, and we want to find people that remind us of ourselves in these funky situations. That's what we're writing.
Yeah, we're not looking for a book that's going to challenge you.
Yes.
I mean, if a book does, if something landed in our lap that we're like, oh my god, this is amazing, we'd probably publish it. But at
we
the
already
same time,
published
it's not
those.
like, right?
It's just amazing. Right. We just define it differently.
Sure.
Yes.
I mean, life changing, right?
Yes,
altering your perception of the world or yourself or something. That's not what we're specifically looking for. And there are people that's what they want to do. They want to write that. They want to publish that. And it's 100% a valid thing to do. And it's incredibly impressive.
And I'll still read it. That's what I'm reading. Yeah. But
100%.
Yep.
Ender's Game. God, if we had an Ender's Game drop in our lap, it would be amazing. That was just the end of that was I must go back and reread this again, and it had some really interesting things to say.
Yeah, those are Greg's books, though. We're good.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah, those are Greg's books. He does that. You're like, wait, what?
Right. Yeah.
But you do have books that make you go back and want to read them. You do also have books that, from like a mom point of view, I've seen like change the way of a person's critical thinking. It's like, I never thought about them actually feeling that way in that situation. I wonder what I'm not understanding in my life now.
Okay.
So you do have characters that do that because, having kids walk in at odd times during audiobooks is interesting. It's like, okay, explain this to me. Well, that is the thing that you'll understand more when you're an adult, and this is the thing that you just don't mess with that type of animal because you could get hurt. But anyway.
Let me explain spicy books, sweetheart.
I try not to listen to like
on a scale of
spice
bell pepper.
You're like, I thought I had my headphones in. I'm so sorry.
It's just like trying to explain like the random piercings of Kevin's books to the kids. It's like, a god has what pierced?
Oh yeah, Kevin's books, maybe not. Yours are still quite young.
I didn't expect them to wake up that early. I have to be awake. I need something to wake me up. But yeah.
That's awesome. Yes, we don't publish children's books either. So we do have some YA, but not young children's books. We will eventually, though. This is our plan. It is our plan.
Dragon Egg.
Future.
We already have the name for it too. Dragon Egg.
Dragon Egg. That'll be the imprint.
Ooh.
Yeah, we love it. I'm excited. And we might be publishing some spicy stuff, so keep an eye out.
We need an imprint name for that, because the perfect one has already been stolen by a company that produces novelties.
Well, I don't know what the perfect one is.
Anyway.
Ask me later.
You guys
ask us later.
Yeah, it's one of those. You guys will come up with something perfect that goes with your lovely, cute dragon at some point. But anyway. Okay. Okay. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to add? Because I think we answered all my main questions.
Yeah, I guess if you like fantasy, sci-fi, or horror, and you like quick paced, quick reads, then hit us up, cursedragonship.com. We have all of our books listed on there. You can get them. A lot of them are in Kindle Unlimited, and some of them are wide as well. So it depends on what you're looking for, what we have in there. And we do have some audiobooks as well. So we've got all kinds of varieties in there. So yeah, go check it out. We do cover reveals on Sunday afternoons at 3 p.m. Central, and we have launches on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Central. And so to look up that calendar, you just go to our website, and that'll be in there too.
Okay. And what about you, Zaepho? Do you have anything you want to add?
Right as your feet.
Yeah. Coming up, we'll be at Multiverse Con in Atlanta. We're not showing, presenting, vending, but we will be there. Definitely looking forward to that. I think we've got another one or two that are coming up. Lots of stuff coming. All of our events will be on the website. If you love what we write, what we do, and or just us in general, curseddragonship.com/discord is our Discord. Come hang out and chat with us. We had a fantastic discussion about AI and art today, which was awesome. And then sometimes we just have random shenanigans.
Often.
I would say often we have random shenanigans, and that's kind of that is us in a nutshell. Nice intellectual conversation, random shenanigans.
What's life if you can't have fun?
Exactly. Okay. What's 100%. The point?
Okay. Thank you guys for coming, and thank you guys for joining us. And please go look up Kelly's books, and definitely look up everything that is Cursed Dragon Ship. What I have read is amazing. I am still working my way through the catalog because there's a whole lot of catalog, and I recently, in the last 4 years now, had a child. So I'm backed up on that. So either way, catch all their books, listen, watch, find their YouTube. And there is so many more things to look forward to from Cursed Dragon Ship. Please follow, like, subscribe, and just read. Thank you guys for coming. Have a blessed night.